So if you're looking to access 0% business credit in 2025, it's imperative that you know which cards are actually approving and which ones are just wasting your time. Because here's the reality, not all business credit cards are created equal. Some have gotten stricter, others have better offers than they've had in years, and a few, well, they've completely changed their underwriting, meaning what worked 6 months ago, it might get you denied today. I'm Zac Safron, founder of Levered Up, and over the past few years, I've helped entrepreneurs secure over $30 million in 0% and low interest funding through strategic credit stacking. Now, in today's video, I'm gonna break down 8 of the best business credit cards that you can get approved for right now, including which ones to apply for first and how to stack them for maximum capital. So if you're serious about accessing business funding in 2025, this video is for you. Card number 1, the American Express Blue Business Plus. And this is where 75% of my funding sequences start. Now, technically, Amex has two 0% business cards, the Blue Business Plus and the Blue Business Cash. And while they're nearly identical when it comes to the 0% terms, I prefer the Plus for one big reason, points. With the Blue Business Plus, you earn 2x membership rewards points on the first $50K that you spend each year. And that includes the spend during your 0% intro period. Now, it's super rare to find a 0% business card that also earns points, especially points as valuable and transferable as Amex membership rewards points. Now, while the standard public offer is usually 15,000 points after 3K spend, occasionally Amex rolls out a targeted offer of 75,000 points when you spend 6K in the first 3 months. Now, if you can grab that, makes this card a no-brainer. But the real reason that we're starting off here is because Amex offers what I call a soft pull beta test. Let me explain. If you already have a relationship with Amex, meaning any personal or business product, then applying for this card will not create a hard inquiry. That lets you test how a tier 1 bank like Amex is responding to your credit profile without taking a hit to your report. If you're approved, awesome. You just added some 0% business credit to the stack without creating a single inquiry. That's a green light for what's going to come next in your funding sequence. But if you're denied, well, now you have an opportunity to troubleshoot and adjust before risking denials with other major banks like Chase or Wells. Now, if you're brand new to Amex, this will create an inquiry on Experian. But here's the thing, Amex allows you to get 2 credit cards per sequence. So if you plan to get both in one sequence and you're brand new to the bank, make sure you wait until the first one's approved, you get your login, and you apply for the second. This avoids creating a second inquiry and lets you do what we call double dipping. And it gets better. Amex is one of the most flexible banks when it comes to managing your limits. Firstly, Amex allows you to request a credit line increase after only having the card for 90 days with only a soft pull. I've seen clients who are brand new to Amex go from 5K to 50K within a year just by using the card well and requesting increases every 90 days. Additionally, Amex is the king of limit transfers. Not only can you transfer limits between business cards, but also Amex is one of the only banks that allows you to move limits between personal and business cards 90 days after opening up the product. That means if you have an existing high limit Amex personal card, you can actually call and have them move that limit onto your newly approved 0% business card. Another pro tip, understanding limit transfers can help you save 0% down the road. What do I mean by this? Well, like I just told you, you can get 2 credit cards at Amex per sequence. So you could get the Blue Plus and the Blue Cash, expending all your possible 0% in one shot, or you could get the Blue Plus and let's say their Amazon card, and you could move the limit from the Amazon card onto the Blue Plus, saving the Blue Cash to hit a year later. Also note, if you want to grab a charge card like the Platinum or the Gold, you can get those in tandem with the actual credit cards. I've seen people get 2 0% credit cards and all 5 of their charge cards in one sequence. Now, I wouldn't recommend this since you're looking at a lot of annual fees, but hey, if you want to, they'll allow it. So who's a good fit for the Amex Blue Business Plus? Ideally, you have a 700 or higher credit score, clean credit report with no major derogatory marks, and your business is spending at least $5,000 a month. Another pro tip, Amex loves to see business bank account activity. So if you can show them 3 to 6 months of consistent deposits, your approval odds and limits will skyrocket. This card is the best way to start your funding sequence with 0 inquiries, high value points, and set yourself up for massive growth with Amex as your limits increase. Card number 2, the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited. This is hands down one of the best entry-level business cards that you can get right now. And here's why it should either be your first or second application. The numbers, they speak for themselves. You get 0% APR in the first 12 months. Currently, there's a $750 cash back after spending 6K in the first 3 months, and you get 1.5% cash back on every purchase, no annual fee. But here's what most people don't understand about this card. It's not just about the welcome bonus. It's about what it signals to other banks. When you get approved for a Chase business card, you're now in their ecosystem. and Chase has some of the most aggressive business lending algorithms in the industry. This shows other potential lenders that you're trustworthy enough to get a Chase card, so most likely you are trustworthy enough to get their card as well. Now, Chase typically pulls from Experian for business cards. However, we've seen them pull from any of the 3 bureaus. Sometimes they pull from multiple bureaus for one application. Saying that, it's worth it, since Chase tends to be the friendliest to startups. Now, unlike Amex, there's no double dipping at Chase, meaning each time you apply for a card, it will create an inquiry. You can typically get 2 Chase cards per sequence, but we have seen them tightening up recently, and only well-qualified people are able to get 2. If you are able to get 2, or you have an existing Chase business card with an available limit, you can easily transfer limits between Chase business cards. For instance, you can apply for the Inc. Business Unlimited and the Inc. Business Preferred, which is not a 0% card, and get both in the same sequence. Then you can move the limit from the Preferred to the Unlimited, maximizing your 0% capital. This strategy allows you to reserve the Inc. Business cash for future use, preserving your 0% options. Additionally, you can apply for a Chase card through what's known as an RM, or a business banking relationship manager. RMs can help advocate for your business, potentially influencing the underwriter's decision favorably. Underwriters tend to look at things very black and white. And by using an RM, what we can do is add a little bit of color to the decision-making process to help push approvals over the edge or unlock higher limits. Now, who's a good fit for this card? You'll want a credit score of at minimum 680, and you need to be under Chase's 5 and 24 rule, meaning you haven't opened more than 5 personal cards in the last 2 years across any banks, not just with Chase. Now, pro tip, if you're already a Chase personal account holder, your approval odds go way up. They love existing relationships. The bottom line, this card is your gateway into the Chase business ecosystem, and once you're in, capital gets way easier to access. All right, card number 3, Bank of America Business Cash Rewards. This is the relationship card, and if you play it right, you can unlock serious capital. The numbers are very competitive. You get a $300 cashback bonus after $3K in spend in the first 90 days, 3% cashback on gas, office supplies, up to $2,500 per quarter, 2% on dining and entertainment, up to $2,500 per quarter, and 1% on everything else, plus 0% APR for the first 9 months and no annual fee. But here's the real opportunity. Bank of America rewards existing customers. So if you open a business checking account first, you're looking at higher approval odds, larger credit limits, faster credit line increases, and access to business loans and lines of credit. Now, Bank of America typically pulls from Experian, but similar to Amex, they're one of the few banks that will approve multiple business cards in the same day. I've had clients get approved for both the cash rewards and the travel rewards in a single application session, doubling their available credit instantly. Now, who should consider this card? You'll want at least a 680 score, be open to opening a business checking account, and ideally have regular expenses on gas or office supplies. Pro tip, if you deposit $5K into their business checking account, you'll get preferred pricing on everything, including lower interest rates if you ever need to carry a balance and the 0% runs out. Now, the bottom line, this isn't just a credit card, it's a banking relationship that grows over time. Now, card number 4, the Wells Fargo Signify Business Card. Now, in 2024, Wells revamped its business card offering into a single flagship product, which is the Signify Business Card, offering a full year of 0% APR, competitive rewards, and some of the highest limits we've seen in 2025. The numbers are straightforward. You get a $500 cashback bonus after spending $5K in the first 3 months, 1.5% cashback on all purchases, and 0% APR for the first 12 months. But here's why it's on the list. Wells Fargo has become one of the most aggressive banks for credit limits in 2025. While other banks like Chase have been tightening up, we've seen Wells start approving much larger limits, especially for well-structured personal credit profiles. Now, Wells pulls from Experian, and they're quite inquiry sensitive, so you'll want to keep this early on in your funding sequence. But here's the catch, and why a lot of people think this card isn't available. If you don't already have a business checking account with Wells, you can't apply for the Signify card online. That's by design. Wells only makes this card available to existing clients inside their online banking portal. Now, who should apply? Again, we want to be over a 680 credit score, low personal utilization, no new accounts in the last 60 days, and either a strong business spend or solid personal credit profile. The bottom line, Wells Fargo Signify isn't the easiest card to get, but if you position your application right, it can unlock some of the biggest 0% limits in the game. And in a market where banks are pulling back, Wells, they're quietly leaning in. All right, so let's talk about 4 powerful business credit cards that do not nearly get enough attention. Not because they aren't great, but because they're geo-restricted or harder to find or misunderstood. Now, these cards all typically pull from Equifax or TransUnion, which can be hugely valuable to add that to your sequence since most Tier 1 banks are going to pull from Experian. Now, while not everyone can access them based on their location, they can unlock $20,000 to $50,000 in 0% funding if you play your cards right, literally. So card number 5 is going to be the Citizens Business Platinum. Citizens is one of the most underrated players in the business credit space. They typically pull from Equifax, and if approved, we usually see limits between 35 and 50K. Now here's the catch. Similar to Wells, you can't just go online and apply for this card. Citizens is a relationship-first bank, and they've intentionally kept this card off the public application portals. But there's two ways around it. Now, option one, you walk in branch and you apply in person. And the nice thing is you don't need some crazy script like you do at Wells. They'll just let you apply, and it works really well, especially if you've got a solid credit profile. Option two, and this is the play that we recommend, is applying through a business banking relationship manager. If you're already banking with Citizens, on the personal side, they often can send you a private application link. Can't get this link on your own, has to come from a banker. Now, we work with Citizens RMs every week. We've seen really good results stacking this card alongside Tier 1 bank offers. Card number 6 is the Truist Business Platinum. Truist is another geo-restricted bank that typically pulls from Equifax, but it's one of the best long-term plays if you know how to work the system. Now, recently, Truist has changed their internal procedures, so all new applicants are capped at $2,500 for their starting limit, regardless of your credit profile. This applies even if you go in person or do it through a business banker. Now, they define new applicants as someone who hasn't had a business checking with them for 6 months or more. However, if you use the card responsibly, meaning you put spend on it and you pay it off in full, the system's gonna automatically increase your limit to $20K after 6 months. No reapplication or soft pull required. Responsible usage means treating this card like a real tool for business, not floating balances or making minimum payments. Bankers want to see large payments because it's one of the only indicators that they have that your business is actually profitable. Now, that principle applies everywhere, but it's especially true at Truist since they use repayment history to unlock higher limits. Now, 3 to 6 months after that $20K auto increase, you can apply for a second 0% card at Truist. And at that point, you can move the $20K limit over to this new card, effectively getting $25K of 0% interest for a year. Now, they typically pull from Equifax, and this is one of the best delayed gratification plays in funding. Nurture the relationship now, reap the capital later. All right, card number 7 is KeyBank. Now, KeyBank isn't talked about much in the funding circles, but it's one of the highest limit business credit cards that we regularly see across our client base, often in the 25 to 50K range, even for brand new relationships. Now, a few things to know about this card. Firstly, there's no online application similar to Wells and Citizens. You'll need to apply in person at a branch, and they are a really heavily relationship-based bank. This can create some friction, but if you qualify and you're willing to walk in, the approvals can be well worth it. Now, second, KeyBank typically is targeting lower income earners, sub 6-figure household in more rural or unbanked markets throughout the Midwest and parts of the West Coast. So when someone with a strong profile and high income walks in, they stand out in a big way. We've seen 50K approvals for first-time business clients without any deposit history. Now, KeyBank's going to pull from Equifax, which makes it a smart addition to stack with Tier 1 banks that, again, primarily pull from Experian. Now, if you've already knocked out your major cards with Chase, Amex, or BOFA, this is a great Tier 2 move, and it plays nicely along with Citizens and Truist. Geography matters here. Citizens and Truist are East Coast heavy. KeyBank fills that gap for clients who are in the Midwest and the West Coast. And if you're not near a branch, check their locator. Maybe a bit of a drive, but again, if you're serious about funding, a one-time visit for a 50K approval, usually worth it. Now, one thing to note, if your business has 2 owners, KeyBank has been known to request credit pulls from both, even for a card issue under a single person's name. It's a little unusual. Not every bank does this, but even if your partner's file isn't perfect, the upside can still justify the extra inquiry. Now, if you qualify and you're willing to go in person, this is one of the strongest relationship-based cards that you can add to your stack. And once you have the relationship in place, it opens the door to additional capital down the road. All right, card number 8, US Bank Visa Platinum. Now, US Bank is easily the strictest card on this list, but it's also one of the most valuable plays if you play the long game. They're typically going to pull from TransUnion on the business side, and their business credit limits go from anywhere from 10 to 50K. Now, that said, unless you already have a strong relationship, expect to start on the lower end of that range. But here's the catch. So US Bank is also geo-restricted, meaning it's not available in every state, and realistically, you will most likely not get approved unless you have an existing relationship, and that's how you want to view this. This is a long-term play. The strategy here is simple. First, open a US business banking checking account, ideally with some capital deposited regularly. Then, if you're willing to go the extra mile, consider applying for their US Bank Shield card, which is a personal card, and it comes with an industry-leading 24 months of 0%. This is the longest APR intro offer on the market. Now, use that card responsibly, show solid repayment behavior, and then revisit the business card 6 to 12 months later once you've seasoned the relationship. The biggest mistake I see people make when building their credit is going for the easy wins up front, burning through all the low-hanging fruit without any sort of long-term plan. But if you want to build a 200K credit card stack, you need to combine the easiest approvals up front like Amex and Chase with the long-term plays like Truist and US Bank. These cards might take longer, they might require in-person, but if you're strategic, they can unlock tens of thousands of dollars in future 0% capital when you're going to need it. Here's what most business owners don't realize. These cards, they're not just about the money, they're about the timing. Right now in 2025, banks are hungry for qualified business customers, but that window may not stay open forever. When lending tightens, and it will, and it's starting to, these same cards can get 10x harder to get approved for. That's why we help clients stack their funding all at once in a strategic sequence before making shifts. So if you want us to review your personal credit profile, map out a personalized funding strategy, use the link below and book a call. Link's in the description. We only work with serious entrepreneurs who are ready to scale, but if that's you, and if this breakdown helped you understand which business cards are actually worth applying for, smash the like button and subscribe for more funding strategies. See you in the next one.